Is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes, is going for it.
Oh my God! What a goal! And that will do it! One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. I'm feeling 100% better from last week's episode. And it's just in time, right? Because it is officially playoff week in MLS, and I'm sure you guys are counting down the days until Sunday, just like myself. You guys are probably still riding on that high of the USA's victory on Friday night against Mexico in Cincinnati. What a game that was. But, you know, all the talk this week, it's not going to be about the USA versus Jamaica, except for fingers crossed that Andre Blake, Alvis Powell, and Corey Burke stay injury-free. We are going to talk New York Red Bulls, Philadelphia Union this Saturday. This is the game. This is the week everybody needs to be excited for. Playoffs are finally here in MLS. Well, joining me to preview this game and look at everything the Sons of Ben have planned for that day, he is the curator of the Union Happy Hour, and he is one of the capos for the Sons of Ben, who we hope this time doesn't try to suffocate himself in yellow sulfur. He is none other than Mr. Jarrett Nisly. Jarrett, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for playoffs. It feels like it's been a long time since we've gotten to talk playoffs, but it's here. We got potentially 2 home games, and I'm just ready for it. I'm ready to.
Man, it's crazy, right? I mean, I'll touch on some capoing things here in a little bit, but I mean, look, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about Saturday, and it's only Monday, man, when we're recording this. Everybody's listening to this probably on Tuesday, and I'm sure you and the rest of the listeners are just like me, just thinking about that playoff atmosphere in 2019 against the Red Bulls. And even before we found out that we were going to be playing the Red Bulls in the playoffs, every now and then I'll find myself just randomly thinking about that playoff game because that atmosphere, that day was just so fantastic. And that's a moment that all of us in that stadium are going to have for a lifetime. Our first playoff win against the New York Red Bulls. These are the type of games where they say, "Oh, you're not a rival." Well, we keep meeting them in the playoffs. Then they're going to look at us as the rivals. But man, just what a time that was in 2019. But before we talk about this upcoming game, just anything that sticks out in your memory, Jarrett, from that 2019 game.
I mean, aside from throwing up in the trash can because of smoke bombs, I just remember the electricity, and even just like the 180-degree shift that we felt in that game. Because I remember going into halftime down 3-1, I was feeling so dejected, and I was like, "How am I going to get this crowd like amped up and ready to go again?" And just the sheer emotion that we left that stadium with, I remember vividly. Again, because of the smoke, like I barely even celebrated the goal. I literally just turned and walked down the aisle and cried because that's literally all I could do, because if I started jumping around, I would have a pounding headache. But and I can vividly remember when Seven Nation Army came on was it the beginning of overtime or the beginning or was it after the goal?
It was the beginning.
Okay, yeah, like I just remember like just the energy, like when they played that song, like the Sons of Ben normally does like quote unquote Seven Nation Army go back to North Jersey, but like it doesn't pick up with the rest of the stadium. When that song came on, the entire stadium was doing. They weren't doing the chant, like the River End was doing the chant, but like everyone in the stadium was jumping up and down and doing the bass chorus to that song. And every time, like I have a video saved on my phone that somebody else took, and every time I watch that, I just get chills because there's just something about like an entire stadium coming together, because we don't get that often in Subaru Park where an entire stadium is doing something. But I just get chills every single time it happens, and I love it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't look at that song the same anymore, because every time I hear Seven Nation Army, I always remember that exact moment that you're talking about. And then I think last week, like you started a thread on Twitter where you were posting pictures, videos, and then other people you wanted to join in just from that moment, that game and everything. I'm like, man, like this is getting me amped. And now we're finally here a week before well, not even a week anymore, 5 days, 4 days, depends whenever you guys are listening to this podcast. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait. And yeah, I know the weather says it's supposed to be 49 degrees out on Saturday, but I don't think that matters, right? Because in 2019, it was pouring down rain. I feel like it was in the 50s. Like, it was a miserable time. We go into halftime down 3-1. I remember the "Hey Union, wake the F up" chants.
Yep.
And yeah, like as soon as it came out the break, Jack Elliott, I feel like, scored a goal within the first 5 minutes of second half. And yeah, it was like no New York Red Bulls. It was all us the second half. Fafa Picote had a time to win the game before we went into extra time. Robles made that outstanding save. Like, just looking at everybody's facial expressions, we all just had it like, like, how did he save that? Like, man, I'm hoping we get that atmosphere. And I really believe that we can get that same atmosphere, if not even better than that atmosphere in 2019. I think for me, and maybe for you, Jared, and other people, I think the best, most intense atmosphere in Subaru Park was this year against Club America, where, you know, you had their fans doing their thing, and, you know, the Philadelphia Union, we knew it was going to be loud from their end, but, you know, I thought Philadelphia Union fans showed out loud and proud, and we tried to make a bigger atmosphere than Club American fans were making. And I don't see why, you know, if everybody does their part this Saturday, I don't see why we can't make Subaru Park into that atmosphere that we had against Club America. I don't see why we can't make it even better than that atmosphere. But look, last year, we know it was a crazy year where, 10, 20% we had fans in Subaru Park. I think we only got 8 home games last year. And it had to be refreshing for you and just all the other capos where we got, I think, 20 home games this season, including Champions League games. Jam-packed River End, plenty of noise coming from the River End, compared to last year where we had a social distance, couldn't pack out the River End like we wanted to, and everybody had to go above and beyond last year to make Trey as loud as possible. So, I mean, how much of a challenge was it for you last year, knowing it was going to be that much harder to make noise in Trey with all the COVID restrictions in place?
Yeah, I mean, it was challenging because, like, I felt like we left 2019 with a good base. Like, we were coming off that playoff win, and we started the season, and like we had that LAFC draw, and we're like, we all had that momentum. We're like, all right, we're excited. And then, like, obviously everything shuts down, and then we go on to have the season we do, where it's the best season in Union history, you know, winning our first silverware. And then, like, season ends, we start up again, we're still at limited capacity. And so, like, I think because everything was just, like, so cut up, it made it that much harder to get those stepping stones. Like, I think we're starting to get back. But, like, we had talked about prior to the 2020 season, we talked about like finding ways to communicate better capo and to drummers, so we could be like, okay, this is where we're going next, so there wasn't as much downtime. So it's been challenging, and obviously, like, you with COVID, you have people who may not be who may be regulars who aren't coming because they don't feel comfortable. So maybe you have some new faces because they're like, hey, I need something to do, and there's a soccer game going on. So it's like there's so many different moving pieces that it's hard to, like, do anything. And, you know, we're expected to be perfect, and we're supposed to have a cheer ready for any moment, and, like, be able to, like, without new cheers, but, like, hey, don't do new cheers, you gotta go back to the old ones. It's like it's so difficult to, like, try and find the best way to make everyone happy while trying to build off the success that we've had in the past. So and Adam will tell you the same thing. It's like it's a work in progress. We're trying to do the best we can. It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think it was your idea where you gave people on Trey that sat in the middle sections, poles and everything, just trying to make it louder. And now, granted, you know, people didn't have the best coordination to keep a beat and everything with the drummers and everything. But hey, look, you tried a new idea, and maybe for a game or two it sounded good, but then after a little bit it's like, okay, maybe giving drunk people poles, trying to keep a beat with the drums, maybe it wasn't the best idea. But look, you tried something and people say, oh, the Sons of Ben, they don't try to do anything new in Trey. Look, there's an idea right there. I know I've heard a couple of new songs coming out of Trey. You guys, I saw Adam Booth hint on Twitter, look, you guys have some different things planned for this game against Red Bulls on Saturday. So you know, we'll see what happens. But look, let's go ahead and talk about the 3 games that we played against Red Bull this year. We all know that those 3 games this year happened once at Subaru Park, twice in Red Bull Arena, where we finished with a record of 1 win, 0 losses, 2 draws. One of those games, New York Red Bull had a red card. One of those games, we had a red card because of Matt Freese's challenge. And each of those games were super close with a scoreline of 1-0, 1-1, 1-1. And I really don't think we're going to see another 7 goals that we saw in 2019 in the playoffs. And I know we had the El Senior game where I think the Union scored three goals that game. They came back and won, I believe it was 3-2. I don't expect that. The Philadelphia Union, the New York Red Bulls, more times than not, they give you a solid defensive, hard-pressing game. The Philadelphia Union, they're undefeated in the last 6 games against New York Red Bulls, and only twice did those 2 games end with each team scoring more than once, the playoff game and then the El Senior game. 3-0 in 2020, I think, in Red Bull Arena. But again, it's COVID time where, it's not full capacity, but at the same time, New York Red Bulls, they don't ever
They
sell
don't fill
out.
it out anyways. Yeah, that was one thing that I noticed when I was looking at their most recent games. A lot of the games were very low scoring, like a lot of 1-0s, 1-1s. And fun fact, dating back to September 14th, Red Bull have only lost twice. So they lost 9-14 and 10-27. And during that time, they played NYCFC 3 times, Nashville, Atlanta, Montreal, DC, Columbus, and Miami. Just to touch on a few. But like playing against NYCFC 3 times and not losing, playing against Nashville and not losing, those aren't any like slouches. They did lose to DC, which is kind of like, it's not great. I think their other loss was Columbus. But Columbus didn't really fall off until later in the year. I think Champions League really caught up to them in the end of the season. But I've been saying this for a while, but like do not count this game out. Do not look at the results from Red Bull last year. Do not look at the results from this year. This is a brand new season. Like clean slate, 0. Like everyone is 0-0-0. Do not overlook this team. This is a team that is in form. They had a great run to end the season, to make the playoffs. Like this is a team that is hungry. Like I'm not saying that we can't beat this team, but if we overlook them, we are going to be set up. If we overlooked New England last year, we're like we played them 4 or 5 times, whatever, and we didn't lose. Maybe I think we lost the first game back, but like we cannot do this with this team. Like yes, we are the 2 seed and they are the 7. But it does not matter. This is going to be a hard fought game. I would not be surprised if it was a 1-0, 2-1 game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I that's a great point you brought out, the New England game. I mean, we played them 5 times last year, and going into it, we were the number 1 seed. We saw what we did the season, winning the Supporters Shield, and we're like, great, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, we got our butts kicked 2-0 against New England, and I felt bad saying, yeah, we're 6 games undefeated against New York Red Bulls, because what we've done in the past, what we've done in the regular season, doesn't matter. You're exactly right, and the form that New York Red Bulls are coming into is outstanding, and I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm sure we'll probably bring it up again, because this is a game, the players, I don't think Jim's going to let them sleep on this game and everything. But I hope fans aren't sleeping on this game like, oh, it's the Red Bulls, so the 7th seed. They barely got into the playoffs. Like, no. I mean, you brought up some great stats. Nashville, to score the first goal down in Nashville and to tie that game 1-1, to just completely dominate New York City, who we can't say we can never do that to New York City. I mean, it's very, very impressive that what the New York Red Bulls have been able to do just since September, like you said. And like I said, just when the Red Bulls and Union play each other, you know exactly what you're going to get from this kind of game. Both teams load the press. Neither team has that deadly goal scorer this year. Both teams have a stingy defense where it's hard to break them down. New York Red Bulls, they were tied with Seattle and Nashville with fewest goals conceded with 33, while the Union conceded 35. And so, like I said, I mean, if this game sees more than 3 goals, I will be very, very surprised. But what is one player for the Union you're looking to have a big game, or somebody that you think needs to have a big game?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because that was in my notes. I would say that Gazdag is the player to look at, because He has been hitting his form, and if you look at him playing internationally, today he just scored a World Cup qualifying goal. Now, you can say what you want about the Hungarian national team and who they play. It does not matter. It's one of the biggest stage, and he is scoring a goal. If we can keep him hot and somehow keep him involved in the offense, that's going to be the difference maker. We saw, I forget what game it was, but we were playing Miro and Gazdag as dual 10s. And I think that was one of the most creative looks we've had going forward in the attack, because we had two guys with creative minds trying to make incisive passes, and we're working off each other really well. Do I think that kind of formation will work going forward? No, because I think we play better with a two-striker formation, because Casper can't be out on his own, regardless. Gazdag is the guy to look at from an offensive standpoint. But I really think that he can be a difference maker in this game.
Yeah, then that's back-to-back games that he scored a World Cup qualifying goal. San Marino, who I know is nobody. I think they ended the group with negative 45 goal differential. Terrible. And then Poland, that's nobody to slouch on. I think they actually qualified for the World Cup in 2022. They have a really good team. Robert Lewandowski has been one of the best strikers for the last 4 or 5 years, and to score the game-winning goal against Poland, I believe in Poland too. It's pretty hard where you can get into some of these European countries. They make an intense atmosphere, and I looked it up. That's 5 goals in 6 games now for Daniel Gazdag. He's getting hot at the right moment. But for me, I know there might be some listeners who might not like this, especially some people on your side of things. Kristen Tenska, I think his name is. I think Leon Flach is a player who needs to have a big game, because I looked at the 3 games that he started against New York Red Bulls this year, once at the 6, twice on the left side of the diamond. In those 3 games, Leon completed 68% passes, 58%, and 64% of his passes, and that's not good enough when you have a team like Red Bulls who press you, and press you, who look to force a mistake on you and then hit you on the counterattack. He was 8 for 18 in those 3 games in his duels. 39 times he lost possession of the ball, and he was dribbled by once in each of those games. But on the same time, he had 13 successful pressures, 5 and 8, which led the Philadelphia Union in those games and pressures. Now, we know that's what Leon Flach brings to the game. We know that, okay, offensively he's a little bit challenged, and we saw him finally get a goal. We saw him get his first assist against New York City, but Leon Flach has to offer more offensively going forward, and those 3 games that he had against New York Red Bulls this year, hopefully, he got those 3 bad games out, and now he comes out and has a good game. Because if you look, the last couple games, Leon Flach's been a little bit more involved in the attack. His passing's been a little bit better in the final third. His crossing's got a little bit better, because in his last 3 starts, he's had 4 key passes, 82% of his passes he's completed, and like I said, 1 assist. So I'm really looking forward to Leon Flach having a good game. He needs to have a good game. Daniel Gazdag, of course, got to ride the coattails of him. 5 goals in 6 games. Because, look, like I said earlier, neither one of these teams has a proven deadly goal scorer. So if Daniel Gazdag the guy we can ride offensively, I'm all for it. But looking for a player not to make mistakes, I think it's Leon Flach. But I went ahead, and you guys know me on the podcast. I always say, oh, well, the Union have conceded in this minute, or the Philadelphia Union have done this. Well, the one thing that really, really scares me is conceding first. And I was like, you know what, let me look at the amount of times the Philadelphia Union have conceded first this season and what's the record with it. Last episode, people wanted to know, okay, well, every time we're a man up, what's our record with that? Because, yeah, that is a big problem right there. And our record's 2-2-2 when we're a man up, which is not good at all. You should definitely have a lot more than 2 wins when you're a man up. But like I said, I was curious, what's our record when we concede first? And I found out that we had 0 wins, 6 losses, 8 draws, while the Red Bulls have a record of 0 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws, which is a lot worse than what the Philadelphia Union have done. I mean, we've seen the Philadelphia Union come back on the road time and time again where, okay, yeah, that Chicago game where it ended 3-3, we should have never drawn that game against Chicago. Our record against Chicago was terrible this game, but, the Red Bulls can probably sit here and say, oh, we shouldn't have done this against this team. We should have beat this team. It happened. But neither one of these teams have won a game this season when they concede first. And we all know you can't tie in the playoffs. It goes into extra time, then penalties. And so the only good thing is when the Union concede first, like I said, they found ways to come back and get a point. But hearing that, does that concern you at all, Jarrett, that The Union's record when they concede first isn't great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it concerns me, but then I look at the flip side and say, like, Red Bull isn't that great either. So, like I was saying on Twitter like 3 days ago, what it's going to come down to is the fans. Like, I mean, yes, like on paper, it's the players, but like, I kid you not, you look at the game, how the game went last year, and the fans are what turned that game around. I can tell you right now that there are 2 sections sold out for Red Bull fans. And there's only one, the last time I checked, of Union fans, and that is one. I believe it's 138. That is sold out. And so, like, if you are thinking about coming to this game, you need to. Like, I need you. I'm telling you, I personally need you there, because you look like we need all your voices. Like, you look at the stats, and like, I need all of you spurning this team on from the get go, because if we get that first goal, that is going to set the tone. It is like, I mean, again, you just read the stats. Like, it is absolutely crucial that the Union get this first goal. Like, I am not trying to have another home playoff game where we're fighting against like the surge of the Red Bull fans from the corner and the surge of the team on the field. I'm not trying to fight against that again. I want to get in front and just pound them. Now, granted, I know it's not going to be a 4-0 drubbing, but like I just this team has to be on the front foot. Like, what's our record when we score first? That's another key fact. I don't know if you have that ready.
I don't. I think we have like 14 wins or something like that. It might be a little bit more. I'll have to pull that up.
Sorry, I caught you off guard there.
You did. Don't worry, I'll have it here in a second. But that's a good point, right? Because I'll go back to what happened in 2019, right? Everybody knows we went in halftime down 3-1. And you're right. I've said this in the past on the podcast, and I feel like maybe some people, when they listen, they're like, oh, no, fans don't make that much of a difference. No, fans legit do make a difference. There's no reason why the Philadelphia Union should have came back and won that game 4-3 against the Red Bulls.
We had no business winning that game.
We had no momentum. The look on the players' faces, you could tell they couldn't believe it. They were stunned. And to hear every single fan in the river and say, hey, Union, wake the F up. Like, Jim Curtin even said after that game, he's like, that's what we needed. That's what we needed from the fans. The fans make a difference. I don't care where, if you play in USL, I don't care if you play in high school soccer, I don't care if you play in some lower league divisions in Europe. Fans absolutely make a difference. And that's a great point by you. And I didn't know that only one section in the stadium sold out for Union fans. And it's a little bit concerning that we're 5 days before the game. So hopefully people get on that.
Now, granted, a lot of the other sections, there's like a few seats that are left. But like, I feel like by this time in 2019, a good portion of the stadium was sold out. And I know for a fact that game was made standing room only, or not standing room only, but they opened up standing room only on the 2 corners opposite the river end. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Jim said it in his post-game interview that he heard that chant. And if Jim heard that chant, the players heard that chant. And it's just like, you look at our home record the past 2 seasons. Like, there is a reason that we are one of the most dominant teams at home, and that is because of the fans. Like, I don't think any other team, I mean, I don't know how much of effect it had, but like, I don't think any other team had fans standing outside their gates when they could not get in, yelling, blowing air horns, drumming, setting off smoke bombs. Like, I don't think any other team had that. They're like, what we have here is special, and I will pound this drum until the day I die, because the records speak for themselves. Like, we have, I know I'm going to catch some flack for this, but we have one of the best fan bases in MLS. We don't have the most put together. We aren't the most successful all the time, but we have, as far as like on-field interaction, we have one of the best fan bases in MLS, and I will hang my hat on that until proven otherwise.
Look, I mean, what other fans are going to show up in downpours with TVs outside the gates and everything, making noise and everything? I didn't see any other fans posting that for other teams around MLS. That's credit to you guys. I mean, there might have been, 10 people, but you guys still showed up every single game. And I think some of the players came over after games, applauded you guys. And look, maybe that's part of the reason why the Philadelphia Union were undefeated last year at Subaru Park, where fans for most of the season weren't allowed in. But here you guys are, setting up your tents, your TVs, making as much noise as you can, and you know maybe they couldn't hear what you were saying, but they heard noise. And when they're going on the road, not hearing any noise, when teams come to Subaru Park, they're like, what? What is that? There's fans outside the stadium, and that extra motivation for the players are like, wow, look, fans can't come in here and they're still dedicated. They're coming out here outside the stadium making noises. Of course that makes a difference. And so I found the stat. So when the Philadelphia Union score first, 14 wins, 2 losses, 3 draws. But here's a better stat, right? When the Philadelphia Union have a lead going into halftime, they are 11, 0 losses, 3 draws. So Philadelphia Union have to score first, but
they have to. Like, it's like I always say that like early goals terrify me. I forget what game it was. It may have been, did Nashville we score early in the first half?
Yeah, I believe so, with Casper's penalty. I believe it was.
Yeah. But like it was one of those games where I was like, it's too early. I was like, I don't like it. But like it worked out. Like it's just one of those games that like this has the feeling of a game where I'm like, if we can get ahead early, like I will feel so much better about everything. And plus, if we get a goal in, the stadium will start going. Like that, like that's the one thing that I hate and I love about like our fan base is that like it usually takes something to get them going. But like once it gets going, like it is impossible to slow it down. I mean, like when we start doing the KSU Shalala chant, like it starts small and it slowly grows, and it's gotten to about like half the stadium doing it at one time. And like that just like organic thing like that, like that excites me.
Yeah, me too. I can hear it right now in my ear. I can hear it right now.
Yep. But like we need that on Saturday. Like I I don't know what more I can say, because like I've been pounding this drum since the matchup came out. I've been like, listen, like you gotta show up. Like it's a Saturday afternoon.
We got the time moved a little bit. Like 12 o'clock sucked for a kickoff, and then I think it's 2:30 now. So it's like, okay, look, now you can do a little bit more in the afternoon. You don't have to rush to the stadium and like just have breakfast. Like now you guys can get your breakfast in, you can get your lunch in. So like 2:30, yeah, it sucks a little bit, but it's a lot better than 12 o'clock. And
yeah, you get a day game. The sun is gonna be out, so like it won't be as cold. Like it should be a great day for soccer, hopefully. Like, because as of right now, like it's like I haven't seen any rain in the forecast. I'm not Katie Fellinger, but like just from like looking at my web app, like it just shows that it's gonna be partially cloudy that day, which I mean it's not bad. Like the temperatures shouldn't be below 40. It's still cold, but like it could be worse. But the important thing is we're going to be dry. And so like this just feels like a game that we like, this should be a sellout. And like you kind of touched on it earlier, like we should have a similar environment to Club America. And like I was literally talking to someone on Twitter about this today, and I was like, I don't know if we're gonna get that, because like yes, it's a bigger occasion, but leading up to that game and at the game, I felt so much more optimism. Not necessarily optimism, but like I felt so much more excitement for that game. And I don't know if that's because there was thousands of Club America fans there and we knew we were going to be outnumbered, but like the tailgate was electric. It was the largest tailgate that I've seen in a while. We had a massive march in that we were popping smoke the entire time. We were chanting outside the gate. Like it was loud as electric. And I just haven't felt that excitement from the fan base yet. I know it is only Monday, but at the same time, I'm like, it's Monday on playoff match week. It is Red Bull. I was like, if your blood is not boiling at this point, like, what are you doing? Like, I am amped. Like, I am at work and I've got chants running through my head. Like, I'm tapping my foot to the beat of the drum. Like, I am ready to go. Like, I need the weekend now. And this is like, I don't see much of that on like in my small bubble of Twitter right now. And I'm just like, and again, I'm like, I'm looking at the tickets. I'm seeing like, where are we at? And I'm just not seeing them go. Like I'm seeing people like post on the Facebook group is like, hey, sell my playoff tickets. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It makes no sense. This is the game that you should be excited to go to. You should make arrangements around this game. It shouldn't be like, oh, I already had this plan, so I'm selling my tickets. Or, the weather, I don't want to go because of the weather. Like, come on now. Like, come on.
Granted, it is around Thanksgiving, which is uncommon. people could pre-order the tickets before the date, the time, and the matchup was released. So I can understand that to a degree. Like maybe you have work a certain time. Like I get that, but I'm just like, I look at all the other games this year where we've had like big crowds, and none of them outside of Club America, that's an outlier, and we were severely outnumbered in that stadium. But I look at those games and I'm like, what? Like, why are people not getting there for this game? And maybe I'm just like not seeing it. Maybe it's happening and I just don't know it. But if you are not going to this game, if you're not thinking about going to this game, or you're contemplating, I personally want to know why. I want to know what I can do to get you excited for this game, because I am amped. Like I am jittery. I am super excited, and I want to help you get to where you need to be to excited for this game. I genuinely like this is what I thrive for. Like I'm a capo for this reason. I am a capo to get you excited. So I want to know what I can do to get you excited. Please tell me. My Twitter is open. My DMs are open. NISDOG on Twitter, NISDOG. Please hit me up, because I want to talk to you. I want to get your butts in the stadium. I want to talk to you at the tailgate. I want to march in with you, and I want to go absolutely berserk in the river end with you.
Absolutely. I agree. And you were talking about that. I think, 2020 was a weird year. Besides the playoff game against New York Red Bull, I mean, the last intense atmosphere I feel like we had was against LAFC. And then before that was the Atlanta United game, where everybody had us out. Oh, there's no way the Philadelphia Union can beat Joseph Martinez with the form that he's in. And we beat Atlanta United. Then LAFC come to town and we score, I think, early in that game. And then they get a goal and that game ends 1-1. But yeah, 2019 was special, man, and
that was so special.
Hopefully, fans. It sucks because I feel like the momentum we had at the end of 2019 carried it into 2020. If COVID didn't happen, oh man, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I feel like right now,
because we would have sold this stadium out for every single weekend game in 2020 with the form. Like now, this is if everything had lined up the same, because obviously we had that like gap in Florida, whatever. But like, if the season had played out the exact same way, I have zero doubts that every single weekend home game would have been a sellout, and probably some would have been pushing standing room only depending on the opponent. And maybe like 1 or 2 weekday games would have been a sellout. We are super unfortunate because we miss a huge stepping stone in like the realm of this franchise. And it sucks, but like, it's about adapting to the situation and the hand that we're dealt. And I think that for the most part, we've done pretty well. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to show what we have as a fan base in the Club America game. We did to an extent, but when I look out to the stadium, like I could not like pick out patches of Union fans. I was literally just like, I am standing in the only group of Union fans in this stadium. But that's a whole other conversation for another time. That should never have happened. It's again, yes, Adam, I know it's Club America. They're the biggest team in North America. You hush. But like, yeah, it's just about, we have a long way to go as a fan base and as a club. We're taking the correct steps, but we still got some things we need to take care of.
Exactly, and we'll come back around to that here in a little bit. I do want to go over some New York Red Bull stats, some more stats for you guys to pay attention to. So, the 3 leading goal scorers this year for the New York Red Bulls were number 1, Patrick Klimala with 8 goals in 29 games. He had 6 assists, which also led the team. Fabio had 7 goals in 30 games, 6 assists. He was also tied for first. And then Christian Caceres, there we go. 6 goals in 27 games, 3 assists for Christian. And look, I mean, not great stats. And I said that earlier. Neither one of these teams, the Philadelphia Union or New York Red Bulls, have that proven goal scorer. Where I looked, I think Klimala, he had an XG of like 14 goals. So 8 goals, and he was supposed to score 14 goals. Yeah, it's not great from your star striker. And then some more stats. This might make Philadelphia Union fans feel a little bit bad, but it's okay. Sean Davis, the captain, he is third in MLS in successful pressures with 229. He is first in MLS in tackles in the middle third with 52. First in tackles versus dribblers with 44. First in interceptions with 95. Kyle Duncan, the right back, he is eighth in successful pressures with 199. Second in block shots with 76. Sean Nealis is first in clearances with 223. New York Red Bulls, they lead MLS in pressures with 6,531. The Union are fifth on that list. Lead MLS in successful pressures with a percentage of 33%. Man, a lot of firsts for New York Red Bulls. They lead MLS in tackles with 716. They are also first in MLS with tackles in the midfield with 304. The Philadelphia Union are second on that list. And then New York Red Bulls, they lead MLS in interceptions with 674. Now, looking at their MLS record, 13 wins, 12 losses, 9 draws. Now, yeah, I mean, New York Red Bulls, they somehow they found a way to get into the playoffs, but nonetheless, like Jarrett said earlier, since September, they've been on an outstanding run where you look, the last 10 games, 6 wins, 1 loss, 3 draws. That one loss came against DC United, which ended 1-0, I believe it was. They are on a 3-game unbeaten streak with significant wins against Montreal, New York City FC twice in that span. Draws against Nashville, which is huge to go down to Nashville and score first and to come away with a point. In those 10 games, 9 goals for, 4 goals against, 5 clean sheets. While you go ahead and look at their away record, 5 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws, 20 goals for, 22 goals against. Most goals conceded on the road, which was 3. They did that twice against New England, once against LA Galaxy. Most goals scored on the road. They had 4 goals against Inter Miami, which, I would make a joke about Inter Miami, but yet we struggled against Inter Miami, so I won't say anything about that. And 9 goals scored on the road between Fabio and Klimala. So there are your New York Red Bull stats. And I had a question last week from Kyle Almany. He said, do the Red Bulls scare you with all those stats? I'll go ahead and take this question, then you can take it, Jarrett. Yeah, I mean, looking at those stats, it's a little bit scary, right? First in a lot of key categories, especially in the attacking and midfield third. I mean, the Philadelphia Union, they're a pressing team, but I would say New York Red Bulls are a lot more of a high pressing team, where the Philadelphia Union yeah, they still press, but they don't press that high up like they did when we had Brendan Aronson in 2020, where as soon as the Red Bulls lose the ball in the defensive third, in the attacking third, they're going to be pressing you. They press you like crazy in the midfield third. Leading MLS in tackles in the midfield, this game, I'll go over my keys to the game, but yeah, this game I think is going to be won or lost in the midfield, and we'll go over that later. But yeah, a lot of key stats, and when I looked at their away record, I was like, man, they must have given up a ton of goals on the road. No, 22 goals on the road, it's not bad in 18 games. It's not bad at all, and it's going to be hard for the Philadelphia Union to score multiple goals, and the Philadelphia Union have to do a good job defensively like we've known they've done throughout the season, especially at Subaru Park. So, again, I'll get to my keys to the game, but yeah, these stats do scare me a little bit. And like Jarrett was saying, some fans, I hope the fans aren't writing off New York Red Bulls because they got 48 points. They barely squeezed into the playoffs. They got that 7th seed because a lot of key categories New York Red Bulls lead in. And yeah, they don't have these fancy names, just like the Philadelphia Union don't have fancy names. They have players that buy into the system and they get it done. And it's going to be a tough game, and it's a 2 seed versus 7. I don't think it's that big of a difference like some people are making it out to be. But Jarrett, just those stats I just gave out, scare you any into this game? I know you alluded to that a little bit, saying that this game's going to be a lot harder than what some fans are making it out to be.
Yeah, obviously, like, the stats scare me a little bit, but like I kind of said earlier, like, that's one of those things that, like, you just got to wipe clean. Like, it's like this, like, and I say this all the time with college football. Rivalry games, like, it doesn't matter what the record is, doesn't matter what the stats are. You can just wipe it clean because both teams are going to show up and they're going to show out. But yeah, obviously, like, with those stats, like, you can tell it's going to be a midfield battle. And it's going to be on players, especially El Brujo, to keep his head and know like when the time to make a tackle is, or when the right time to foul is. It scares me a little bit. But I think the big thing that we haven't hit on yet, and that most people probably aren't talking about, is the goalkeeping matchup. I mean, both goalies were top of the league in shutouts. So that's going to be a huge. I don't know if this game will be a defensive struggle, but I would expect a decent amount of flying acrobatic saves. The game obviously won't be a shutout because there has to be a winner. But that I definitely think it's an underrated matchup that people aren't talking about. Yeah, I believe Andre had 11 shutouts and Colonel had 12, or maybe it's 12 and 13. I know MLS posted it the other day. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting matchup, and I'm hoping the rest of the River End can get behind me and make life hell for Colonel when he comes down to our end. I feel like this year the River End has done pretty well with getting in keepers' heads. But yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, like, you do great with the stats, but like I also look at them just like, stats mean nothing at this point.
They absolutely don't.
Like, again, it's playoffs and it's one and done. So like, it's gonna be guns blazing, like go until you drop.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I can give you stats for days, and you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't matter really, right? What game it is, especially a playoff game. Stats don't matter, and
they're fun.
They're fun. They're definitely fun, right? And I mean, there's no more to say that. Yeah, at the end of the day, they don't matter, especially in a playoff game where it's win or go home. You're right. Cornell has 13, and I don't know why I still can't find Andre Blake. So we'll say you're right with 11 because that does sound right.
It was either 11 or 12.
Yeah, so Cornell definitely with 13, and maybe when I can find this, I'll come back to it. But so I mean, if those New York Red Bull stats scared you guys, let's bring it back on a little bit more of a positive focus. And I know you're talking about it a little bit earlier, but what do the Sons of Ben have planned for this game Saturday against the New York Red Bulls?
As far as chance, I don't know. I haven't been privy to what Adam is planning as far as chance. I mean, I would expect a couple go back to North Jerseys, build a bonfire, all that good stuff. But I know Devin's planning a tailgate. I would anticipate pretty normal food. You'll probably see some quote unquote pink cow turds or strawberry cookies. Up there. I know we will have a live DJ. Nick Johnson, one of my buddies from Sixers Twitter, will be DJing his second game. I tried to get an answer about a bonfire. I asked Matt sorry to put you on blast, Matt. But I asked Matt after the NYCFC game because I took the bus trip. But we didn't know when we were playing yet, so that was gonna be that was gonna play a factor. I asked today in the Facebook group and didn't hear anything. So I'm really hoping there's a bonfire because I feel like when we did that, I guess the last time we did it was the El Seno game. It drew a pretty large crowd because there isn't usually two giant Red Bulls just sitting in the parking lot. And people are like, oh, what's going on over here? And like things are like roped off. So people had to like kind of change their walk in. But yeah, I would just expect a fun tailgate. I know we're trying to do a march, and I cannot stress this enough. Marches can only happen if people don't go into the stadium early. I understand wanting to go in the stadium. I'm the same way. I want to get in there. I want to get to my seat, and I want to start taking in the environment. But if we want to get things going on the right foot, I need you to stick outside just a little bit longer and stay for the march. Because most times marches are planned. Like we'll plan to march in, but they fail because everyone leaves. And I understand, like, okay, they did last call for beer. Beer is done. Food's gone. There's no point in me being here anymore. The people who were at the Club America game, there was a pretty big march in. and it was very loud, and it was very exciting, and there was it was such a great time. People were waving flags. We were setting off smoke bombs. We had a drone from the Union like over us, like taking videos. We had like their camera team like out taking pictures of us. It's a great time. I believe we marched in for the 2019 playoff game. Marches are a lot of fun. It's a great way for you to, if you don't know the chants, learn the chants in a smaller environment. You do not have to be a member to march in. You do not have to be a member to go tailgate. Again, cannot stress that enough because a lot of people do not know. They think you have to be a SOB member in order to participate in these things, and you just don't. Like, we just march in collectively. You can literally be walking up to the stadium and be like, I'm gonna join in. And we're like, sure, come on in. The more the merrier. The louder it is. Yeah, so like I haven't heard anything beyond that yet. I'm just hoping for a good turnout. I think Morgan and Kristen are flying in. I think Tommy's flying in from Texas. I think there's a couple of different people flying in. So like there's gonna be people there. Like it's just I need you all to just be a little bit more patient and hang with us so we can gather everybody and have a really cool moment walking in the stadium. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like when we are in front of the gates, just like chanting and going nuts, like those are some of the coolest times because a lot of like the casual fans or like the non-River M people get to experience the Sons of Ben up close and personal. And they're like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. And so it helps bridge that gap a little bit and give people a new experience. And new experiences are how we get people to continue coming back to games, showing them new things. So please just come to the tailgate first off. Like, come hang out. Like, we're all friendly people. We're all going to be excited. It's good food. There'll be good music. Play some cornhole. It's going to be a good time. Like, I promise you that.
Any Jarrett mac and cheese?
This is definitely like a game that I should do that for because it is still undefeated. Three wins and 1 draw. But I don't think I'm going to be making this time because, like, I mean, last time I made 2 pounds of it and it was gone in an hour. So that would require making 4 pounds of it this time. And I'm already going to have to leave Lancaster at like 10 a.m. So that like does not leave time to make it in the morning. So sadly, no Jared gourmet mac and cheese.
Hey, if we win this game, we get a second playoff game. So maybe then. So,
maybe because we're guaranteed weekend games throughout the whole playoffs.
Yes, we are. So a couple things that I jotted down right there. One, I try to go on MLS's website to find out how many clean sheets Andre Blake has. A fun fact, Andre Blake's not even listed on their website, which is so weird. He has 12 clean sheets, so we were 1 off. You said around 11 or 12, so I guess you're right. But yeah, why isn't Andre Blake listed on MLS's website? So weird. 2, if people are flying into this game from different states, then why can't the people from Philadelphia or the surrounding areas come to this game? It's like, come on, these people are going the extra mile to fly into this game. You know, I saw people complaining earlier, why is there 2 games in Red Bull Arena this season? Why do we only have 1 against them at Subaru Park? Look, here's a second game against New York Red Bulls, and it couldn't have come at a better time, a playoff game. And 3 right there. Just come out and tailgate and come out in March. And I remember in 2019, my first time ever going to a Union game, it was against Toronto, the home opener. We get to the stadium, me and my friend Tyler, and we're walking up to the gates, and you guys are marching in, and you guys are like, get in. We're like, okay. Like, we didn't know the chants or anything at all, but we're like you said, you can learn them. And then just being a part of the atmosphere is like really, really cool. Like it's, for the away fans that are coming, it looks pretty intimidating watching a whole bunch of fans singing, chanting, marching into the stadium. And so, come on out and help us create this march into the stadium. But let's go ahead and go to my 3 keys to the game. Number 1, limit the turnovers in midfield. I gave stats for the midfield, how both of these teams play in the midfield. Both teams are in the top 8 in pressures in the midfield third. So that is number 1. Number 2, and these are all like, oh yeah, duh, these are like real simple keys to a victory. Number 2, finish your chances. New York Red Bulls lead MLS in fewer shots against them with an average of 9.15 shots per game. That's not a lot of shots, and until we switched to the Christmas tree formation, the Philadelphia Union weren't creating a lot of shots, and then we switched to 2-10s, and then all of a sudden we have games with 18 shots, 20 shots, 22 shots, 19 shots. While the Philadelphia Union, they have allowed the 6th fewest shots in MLS with 11.32 shots per game. And then number 3, shut down the fullback play. Tolkien and Duncan love going for it for the Red Bulls, just like Bizo and Wagner love going for it for the Union. And I'm going to ask you a question that I was asked about on Deep by the River. 4-3-2-1 Christmas tree or the 4-4-2 diamond? And I think you obviously answered this early in the podcast, but if everybody's healthy, what are you going with?
If everyone's healthy, I'm probably going with the 4-4-2 diamond, because I just love the play that Casper and Santos have with each other. Casper's a good hold-up man for the most part. Like, obviously he doesn't do what he's supposed to, but Sergio's ability to make runs off the ball with his speed is like amazing. Like, I love that. Like, in a perfect world, not necessarily a perfect world, but like, I'd love to see the Christmas tree with Santos up top. I don't know if that'll ever happen because I feel like Casper is Jim's number 1. Which I haven't seen anything. I don't think Santos has shown any reason to bump him to that number 1 spot. But it would just be very interesting for me to see Santos up top by himself with Miro and Gazdag's ball playing ability. So it may just be like I say 4-4-2 diamond because like I like us with the 2 striker formation better, but I also feel like Christmas tree has done us pretty well because like when was the last time that we got a positive result at a Yankee Stadium and we went in playing with Christmas tree? Granted, we had the lead and lost the lead and we're up a man, but I don't know, like do you know where Santos is at, like coming back from injury wise?
So when Jim talked to us, I'd say 2 weeks ago at a what was it, I think it was a midweek press conference. He said that neither Sergio or Corey Burke were going to be 100% fit for the game against Red Bulls. Now, granted, Corey Burke got called up to Jamaica, so I feel like the Union wouldn't let Corey Burke go if he wasn't 100% fit. So, I don't know. Maybe that's Jim just trying to mess with New York Red Bulls, just trying to give them some false information. But fun fact, the last time that the Union played the diamond formation with Sergio Santos up top, it was when we played the New England Revolution with the kids. We lost that game 2-1, but Sergio Santos looked amazing in that formation. Matt Turner had to come out with a lot of good saves. Now, we haven't seen what Sergio Santos can do with more veteran players in Daniel Gazdag and Jamiro Montero, which might be very, very interesting with Sergio's speed and everything. But yeah, I'm with you. The 4-4-2 diamond, if Sergio's not... I want to go 4-4-2 diamond if Sergio is healthy. If Sergio is not completely healthy, then I want the 4-3-2-1 Christmas tree with Casper up top. But I don't know. I mean, it all depends, like you said, where Sergio Santos is, because we've seen throughout the season what Sergio Santos can do when he's healthy, when he's fully fit. Which, another fun fact, Sergio Santos played in 27 games this season. That's the most games he's ever played in his professional soccer career, which doesn't seem like a lot. But hey, look, congratulations, Sergio. You went 27 games this season, your most ever in your career. So hopefully he's healthy enough for this game against New York Red Bulls, because we miss his pace. We absolutely miss his pace. But just anything, Jarrett, that you haven't got to in your notes that you want to bring up, anything that I haven't brought up that you want to talk about, feel free to go and bring it up, because look, I'm hyped for this game. You're hyped for this game. And we've probably given so many stats where people are like, stop with the stats already. But just anything you want to bring up.
We pretty much went over everything that I had written down. But I will add on to the formation conversation that I think it would be interesting to see Santos in kind of a Nelsinho role, because he has like not the same flair, that Elsinho does, but he has that little bit. And I feel like a 60th minute Santos substitution, whether that's for Casper or switching to the 4-4-2 diamond midway through the game, I think that could be a very interesting, because like 60th minute, like your center back's legs are going to be starting to get a little heavy. All of a sudden, you throw in this peppy, like fast striker, like that could be a huge difference maker and an opportunity to blow the game wide open. Because I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say something, won't go there. But if you have a chance to put the game away, I think you got to. Like if we're up 1-0 in the 60th minute, I want to see Jim go for it. I do not want him to sit back because if we sit back, that is when Red Bull is going to take the game from us. And if they get any sort of grip on this game, like it's not going to be good. And this is a game that could very easily happen. I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it a million times. Do not overlook this team. This is going to be a dogfight. This is going to be a low-scoring, defensive, goalkeeper showing out game. Yeah, like I know we all want fireworks. I know we all want to see goals on goals on goals. It's not going to happen. And now that I've said it, we're going to have another 4-3 game.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, I don't know. There's so many different things that we could look at, because this kind of game is the kind of podcast where you could talk for 2 hours and not even touch on everything. I mean, we're already pushing an hour.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like, because like now my juices are getting flowing.
Yes.
Like they were flowing earlier, but now I'm just like, yo, and it's like, what else can we hit on? Like, what can we do tactically to make this game go exactly where we need it to go?
Exactly. What have we missed to bring up? Like, just come on, people. Like, people that are debating whether or not to go to this game, the people that are saying, well, I think I'm going to sell my tickets. Don't sell your tickets. Come to the game. If you're debating whether or not to go to the game, go to the game. Jared said it earlier. He wants to find ways to make you want to come to the game. What are the reasons why you guys don't want to come to the game? Jared will say, okay, well, here's reason A, B, C, and D why you need to come to the game, because your reasonings you're giving, they aren't good enough. So, I mean, look.
I just need your voices. Like, I can only do so much with a megaphone. Like, I can yell into a megaphone, but if no one yells back, it's nothing. So I need your voices in the stand to help build the vision that myself, Adam, and the other capos have for this game. I want to make the ground shake. I'm telling you right now, I'm bringing out the poles for this game. The poles will be out. We'll be banging on the metal. The flags will be out. We'll be waving them. Like, we are going to make this stadium rock. It is going to happen. And I don't care if the old man is yelling at me because he can't hear the chants. I do not care. I do not want the Red Bull players to be able to hear their own goalkeeper shouting instructions. I want these players to go deaf because of how loud we are.
Bring back the polls.
Listen, I'm telling you, you got me fired up. You got me fired up on a Monday night. Like, I'm ready to drive down the Super right now and get going.
And bring back the Sons of Quarantine, right? All 10 of you guys. And look, there's not even a game going on right now. You guys all hit up each other, said, let's go down to Subaru Park. Let's make an atmosphere. Let's stay here until the game's set. Oh, man. Can't wait, man. And I am a little bit nervous, right? Because we're having this hype podcast. And if things don't go our way Saturday, it's like, oh my God, like I can never listen to this episode again. Like, we were so excited. And that is a good thing about the podcast, right? Where you can go back and listen to what you said and just see the emotion, see how excited you were, how angry you were. And then, the Philadelphia Union do something good. And now you're like, okay, yeah, all that anger, now I'm happy again. And man, I'm more excited than I'm nervous a little bit, right? Stats speak for themselves. And don't underestimate the New York Red Bulls, but man, that atmosphere, like, I can hear the 2019 game in my ears right now. The chants, I can see all the blue smoke bombs going off. I'm curious to see, in 2019, the team gave light blue and blue shirts out on every single seat. So I'm curious to see what they do this game because, man, let's make Subaru Park blue. Let's no red. Somebody brings back that pink cow that they had in 2019 that they had on a rope and everything. They were hitting it in 2019. Let's bring that back. Let's have an enjoyable atmosphere. Let's have a loud, jam-packed Subaru Park because we know what that place can be like when every single fan in that stadium is chanting, making noise, is pushing those players a little bit further because Jarrett's right. Fans make such a huge difference. And I don't care what people say. People can try to convince me otherwise. Fans 100% make a difference in a game. But Jarrett, man, like you said, we could just talk an hour longer with how hyped we are for this game. To see New York Red Bulls in Subaru Park 2 times this season, I'm here for it. But where can people follow you on social media if they are not following you yet?
Yeah, so I'd say where I'm most active right now is on Twitter. At Nisdog, Nisdog. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. I probably haven't touched that app in 2 months. But it's same username, 18 at the end, Nisdog 18. You can find me on Facebook. Don't usually use that often. Jared Nisly, Nisly. But yeah, I don't know what to say. This is like if you have questions about tailgate, about March in, about chants that we do, please ask. I know, yeah, we wear a badge and yeah, we're down front, but we're all approachable. I'm no different than any other fan, other than the fact that I'm yelling in a megaphone. We're just like you. So please feel free. I'm not joking. If you are contemplating going to this game, if some random Philadelphia sports fan is finding this podcast and you're like, I've never been to a Union game, please reach out because I want to help grow the sport of soccer in the US. And we need to reach out to the 4for4 fans of Philadelphia. Nick, the guy who's doing who's DJing, he's big into Sixers Twitter. And I just reached out to him and was like, hey, man, see, you're a huge fan of the Sixers. Want to come to a Union game? It's all just about bridging that gap. And I know I'm diving into something completely different than we were talking about, but it's please, reach out. I'm a friendly guy. I will do my best to inform you about what all is going on. If I don't know, then I will try and find an answer for you. But yeah, just please show out, rest your voice. I am not doing a good job of resting my voice tonight because I have been getting real hyped. I've been talking loud. But get those voices ready because I need people to be ready to go 120 minutes. I need you to go in expecting that the game is going to go 120 minutes because, again, it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. So, obviously we don't want it to go 120. We want it to go 90 and be done with it. We don't want to touch PKs. But I need you to go in expecting that you need to give 150%.
Yeah. I'm never watching a PK ever again in Subaru Park. I'm taking the Jim Curtin approach because I watched Jameer Montero take that penalty against Club America, and I was debating. I was like, I can't watch this, but I'm like, man, I gotta watch this. And oh my God, man, what a great save by Ochoa. And I don't think if we go into penalties against New York Red Bulls, I don't think I'm watching. I can't. But you brought up another good point. I mean, so many great points tonight. If you're debating if you like soccer and you want to see the World Cup come to Philadelphia in 2026, I feel like this is the type of game that FIFA's looking at for the World Cup. Dang, look, these fans packed out this stadium. Look at that crazy atmosphere they had against the New York Red Bulls. Look at that atmosphere they had against Club America. Look at that atmosphere they had in 2019 against LAFC and Atlanta United. That's what FIFA's looking for. And we can start that. You can catch FIFA's attention with making that atmosphere to bring the World Cup in Philadelphia in 2026 by being loud, being rowdy in that stadium this Saturday at 2:30 against the New York Red Bulls. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow @FreeKickPod. Check out the website that might not be a website anymore, thefreekickpodcast.com. Wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. And Jared, hopefully you have your voice for Saturday. Hopefully no more sulfur in your lungs and your eyes. Hopefully you'll be able to make it through a playoff game without feeling like you're dying this time because I'm excited. I think there is going to be a great atmosphere, I think the fans are going to be treated to a great game. It's not going to be high scoring. It's not going to be high scoring. And you guys probably noticed neither one of us, Jared or I, gave predictions because I haven't been doing that the last couple episodes, and it's been working in my favor. And look, we're both in agreement that it's not going to be a high scoring game. And you guys make a difference. But Jared, thanks so much for coming on. And it's been far too long. Last year is the last time you came onto this podcast. I think your only time coming on this podcast. And it's a blast talking to you. It's always a blast seeing you at the stadium, getting hyped, trying to get other people hyped, because what you do definitely makes a difference. Even at times it feels like it's not making a difference. Even if you're getting drunk people yelling at you, saying you're ruining their experience and never coming back to a game, you make a difference. Keep up the great work, Jared, and thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
But with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.